Last season, the Skip Barber Racing School introduced a challenge to the iRacers. Get yourself a championship win in seasons 2, 3, and 4. You get yourself a one-day racing school, finish in the top 5, and enter at the end of all 3 seasons for a race-off for a 3-day Skip Barber Racing School. Last season, Philippe Barber, he took home the trophy. He got himself a trip. Well, not a trip, but he gets a one-day racing school session. And him, Norbert Sulzer, Yanni Gundi, Arjan de Vries, and Gerardo Babir Ramos are the top 5 who get their names entered into the race-off at the end of season 4. Now we come into the first week of season number 3 on iRacing, but the second season of competition here in your Skip Barber Racing School Championship. Join us in a few moments' time, live from Road Atlanta.
Hi guys, I'm Scott Speed, driver of this amazing Volkswagen Beetle GRC car. I got good news for the iRacing fam. We got this coming in. I'm currently working on it myself personally to make sure that it is as accurate as possible. With the addition of dirt and now this mean car, it is gonna be so fun. And it's gonna be available free to all the iRacing members. Personally, I can't wait to get out there and race you guys on it.
In iRacing Live, as coverage begins of round number 1 of your Skip Barber Racing School Championship. Randy Cheneth, Hugo Louise, and Alvin Nieves bringing you all the action here today. And Alvin, last season, there were some familiar tracks even carrying into this season, I should say, that's on that schedule. Road Atlanta is one of them. We also have on the schedule Interlagos, Road America is there, Bathurst. A handful of tracks carry over from last season to this one. However, that said, a lot of new challenges on this 12-week schedule. For example, Road Atlanta, we're running the full layout as opposed to the club circuit like we did last season. Next week we have Lime Rock, immediately followed by Phillip Island and Suzuka. Summit Point, first 5 weeks, pretty much all new tracks for these guys. Going to be an interesting championship here this season, I'd wager.
It certainly will be, Randy. You know, new track, new challenges, new season. Yes, Road Atlanta, we did it last season, but this time we're doing the full course, and that will definitely put an extra challenge here, because if we remember what we saw on some of the races last season, Randy, though these long tracks with long straightaways, it really gets for pack racing, and it really makes for some interesting racing, especially on the closing stages of the race as well.
So as qualifying currently happening here, things are looking close amongst your top 3. Alvaro Sanchez, Yanni Gundi, and Tuan Tron, all in the 35.2 second bracket. Top 2 only separated by 500s. The gap between second to third only 4 thousandths. It's going to be a close field here today, but you're absolutely right, Alvin. Compared to when we raced here last season, I mean, we have most notably, the run to turns 5 to turn 6, from the exit of the S's all the way up to the double right, that's a pretty long straight for these little Formula 2000 cars. And that run from turn 7 all the way down to turns 10A and 10B at the chicane, that's just going to be draft city for these guys.
It definitely will be, and I'm really interested. Going back to last season, even though I was expecting a little bit more aggressive racing, especially on these type of races where pack racing, draft racing is the order of the day, but instead I saw a lot of patience, especially in the front of the field, where you would expect with all the prices that are on the line, these drivers were really patient. And I see most of the drivers that we had here last season, drivers like Johnny Guindy, Tuan Tron, and the Season 2 champion, Philippe Lebert, Sayandra. So I expect the same type of racing that we saw last season.
Yeah, there are definitely some familiar names in the field this week. and as well as some new ones that'll be interesting to see. But that said, qualifying is all wrapped up, and let's now go to your pre-race show and the starting grid for round number 1 of the Skip Barber Racing School Championship. Yanni Gundi, who was strong all last season, sets the stage in another strong manner today, taking the pole with a 135.146. Outside of him will be Greg Seitz with a 135.165. 200 separate your top two. Then you go to the second row. You have Alvaro Sanchez and Gavin Martin. They're separated, well, only about another further 10th from second place runner Greg Seitz, but the two of them, only 400 separates their lap times. Tuan Tron and Felipe Bear make the way from row number 3. On row number 4 on the grid, Cy Andra and Jesus Martin Tamiro. Cy all last season very strong. Made it a bit of a habit to run through the rest of the field if he got a bad qualifying. This time today starts a little ways up. Alex Artisana and Dennis Johansson round out your top 10, with Kane Halliburton and Carl Dronke making up the 6th row. Andrew Picario and Diago Francisco make up row 7. Justin Tipton and Francois Bollier row 8. Row 9, Daniel Barrison and Christian Capenga, and Carlos Arias Sainz and Daniel Fogarini round out the 20-car grid today. So, Road Atlanta, pretty much normal track, should be pretty much familiar to just about everybody. About 12 turns at this 2.5-mile road course, home of the Petit Le Mans, pretty much in the fall of every single year. And as these drivers getting themselves on the grid, just waiting on a couple more, and then we'll be set to go green for 14 laps around this 2.5-mile racetrack in Georgia. So, who will it be this time in Season 2, and who will kick things started off on the right foot? Will it be Johnny Gundy starting things out strong? Will Greg Seitz try to make something of it? We're soon to find out as the revs build. And the cars are away for the first time in season number 3 in your Skip Barber Racing School Championship. Good start amongst your top two between Greg Seitz and Yanni Gundy. They're relatively even, but your third place runner of Alvaro Sanchez, I think, gets the best jump of everyone on the front runners. He's going to make a move for second into turn 1. Aggressive move, I'd say, and Greg Seitz sort of left the door open. I think he saw that happening. But will there be a change for position, as right now Alvaro Sanchez has the favored line? And yes, the number 3 of Greg Seitz will slot himself into the third position as they go through the S's for the first time.
And a fantastic start here from everybody in the midfield. It looks like everybody's able to go single file now through the S's, now going into turn number 5. And we got a car out going into the wall, into the S's. It's Francois Boulain. He going down through the S's. It looks like maybe some contact here. Let's have a look at it. Quick look here. See what happened to Francois Boulain.
Yeah, there's an early incident going down through the S's where this racetrack really narrows up. It was with the 12 of Justin Tipton, and the 12, the initial contact, they got sideways, and then there was secondary contact, and Francois Bollier, not the beneficiary of that one. That's going to see his race done early. Now, though, got back to live pictures, and they're coming down this long back straightaway here at Road Atlanta right now, on the run down into 10A and 10B, which is the chicane here. Johnny Gundy might have the second place runner of Alvaro Sanchez for company, but no, Sanchez going to lift out of it, and they're almost 3 wide, actually, a little bit deeper in the field. This is Jesus Martin Tamiro and Alex Artisana as they work themselves through the quick left-right at the chicane here at Road Atlanta, working themselves back up now under the Suzuki Bridge and then down the hill at this difficult final corner at this American racetrack. Want to try to keep your pedal to the floor, but sometimes that can be difficult. But in these little cars, I think you should just be able to. Everyone comes across the stripe pretty much for the first time, except, of course, for Francois Bollier. And into turn 1 they come, jockeying for position. Jesus Martin Tamiro trying to make moves on Alex Artisana, but it's an aggressive move into 1, and the 11 fights back on the run up to 3, but contact again, and Tamiro's going to defend the spot.
I think this is where we're going to see most of the racing in here today, Randy. This midfield, because they know that the leading pack now, and more contact here going into the SS. So I was saying that it was going to be really aggressive because they know they got a good put pedal to the metal, and well, we are seeing it.
Pretty much a copy-paste almost from what we saw in the earlier incident on lap number 1. Just the 11 of, who was that again? Alex Artisana and Dennis Johansson, just side-to-side contact. Again, that 4 machine, not the beneficiary. Also, I think may have collected someone else out there in the 11, Artisana. Very sketchy rejoin, and there was a car spinning off. That was Kane Halliburton. Didn't actually catch anyone though, so the 9 will continue out there. But looking back for your race lead, and here comes the 8 machine of Alvaro Sanchez on the run down the back straightaway, looking up the left side. He's basically already clear before they ever get to the braking zone. So with the draft here today, if you're in second, you theoretically can get yourself to the point relatively quickly and easy, really, and be unchallenged going into that chicane by the looks of things here, Alvin. I think right now, pretty much the way you need to approach this race, you need to try to be P2 as you're coming to the white.
Absolutely, but don't discard the drivers that are from P3 all the way to P7, because this pack here, I think they know what they have to do. You know, yeah, we may see some overtake for positions here and there, but they know that if somebody is going for the overtake, it's pretty much just let them go by, because if you start fighting, you are going to lose the draft, and if you lose the draft, well, you are out of contention for the win here today.
You need to have the slipstream, and that's one of the main things that those drivers in the mid-pack, I think, have really let themselves down on. That over-aggressiveness through the S's has really allowed this lead group to stretch out a big gap. Look at the gap from Syandra to Jesus Martin Tamero. That's 3 seconds between 7th and 8th. The gap between the top 7, meanwhile, is only a 1.5 seconds. So that over-aggressive driving, Alvin, while it may be worthwhile to pick yourself up a few spots in the early goings, I think for these guys in the mid-pack, it's just backfired for all of them, and they just raced, I think, a little bit over their heads.
It definitely does, and we see this every single race that we see here on the Skip Barber series. Every track that we see that there are long straights, as we see the move for the lead here, Johnny Guindy and Alvaro Sanchez going in here, and it looks like Johnny Guindy is gonna take the lead here going into turn number 10A, but just like you were saying, Randy, whoever is in second place definitely has the advantage here. But going back to how you race this, being lead versus being mid pack. If you're in the mid pack, yeah, for sure, you really had to push it. But that's when you do it at the start of the race. Then once things start settling down, then you kind of have to follow the leader, because the moment you start fighting, well, you lose touch of the lead.
So into turn 1 they go now for the 4th time. Going to be 10 laps to go next time across the stripe. And for the most part, your lead group here all single file on the run up towards turn 3. This blind right-hander, you see him jump the curb, then it's down into the famous S's here at Road Atlanta. Turns 4, turns 5. Turn 5 will being at the end. The S's themselves really aren't numbered, somewhat confusingly on the track map, and that's one of the things here in North American racetracks here, Alvin. The way the track numbering goes can be confusing. None of the S's are numbered, and then you have 10A and 10B. Can be a little bit confusing for us, and then you got 2 kinks down the back straightaway that are numbered as well.
That is something really interesting that we see, especially on old tracks, Randy. You know, sometimes things can be numbered, sometimes things cannot be numbered. Or if you go to really legendary tracks like Laguna Seca, they don't even have numbers; they got names. So it's really interesting how they go through kind of the naming numbering convention that they do. At battle for the lead again. Alvaro Sanchez in second place. It looks like he's gonna take the lead going into 10A.
So going down now the back straightaway, and Alvaro Sanchez takes the race lead again, but they're side by side behind. That's Greg Seitz and Philippe Lebert. Quick left and then a quick right yet again, and they're going to get themselves sorted and single file. And that, to me, Alvin, is the main thing that you're seeing from this lead group compared to what was happening in the mid-pack. Think of how nice this group is just playing with one another. They get single file through the S's, down the front straightaway, down the back straightaway. They get single file, maybe do a little bit of side by side and pick up a spot, but through all those tricky sections of the racetrack, through the S's, through the double right, through the chicane, especially through the final corner, they try to get themselves sorted so they don't lose the draft. But that said, Greg Seitz has side Andra for company into going into turn 3. Cy, he's going to lose out here, and he's going to have the 6 of Tuan Tron for company down the S's yet again.
Yeah, and that was pretty much a more smart going from Syandra. He knew that he was going to lose that position, so he left the door open for Greg Seitz to go in, but also it left for Tuan Tron to go in. But I think that is really smart from Syandra to let them go instead of fighting them, because this is what we're talking. If you start fighting, especially going through the S's, you go side by side, you're definitely gonna lose time.
Syandra put another move on Tuan Tron there, going up into turns number 6 and 7. Got the move done, but it was a borderline borderline over aggressive, I would argue, but they come back onto your back straightaway, pretty much no harm, no foul, just a little bit of a wheel-to-wheel contact. Race lead again, side by side down the back straightaway. And we don't want to get too overhyped about this, Alvin, because really they're just trading this back and forth every single lap. And it's a little hard to get excited when passes are getting made that are getting made every single time around this racetrack. I think now we're working lap number 5, and I think that's the 6th time we've seen them change for the race lead.
Absolutely, Randy. And if you think about it, these overtakes are done more strategically, more than anything else. But we see the battle here from Spinner here. Gavin Marston just spun into the wall.
Yeah, Gavin Marston coming down under Suzuki Bridge into the final corner. Not sure what happened, and this wasn't really side-to-side racing, although that said, he was side-by-side with the 3 of Greg Seitz coming through the final corner. He just pushed a little bit wide on the entry, Alvin. Put that left rear off onto the dirt, and well, when that happens, you kick loose. Car got on the right side, gets into the wall. That's pretty much going to be race ended. Aero damage, you can't really be competitive here after something like that.
Yeah, it certainly is. Especially here, when you're coming to the end of the lap here at Royal Atlanta, yes, you want to get as close as possible to that apex coming into turn number 12, but you also have to be really careful because the slightest touch of the grass here at that rate of speed plus that compression that the track gives to you, it's certainly gonna spell bad news for you. Well, that's what we saw with Gavin Madsen, and now he's out. It's out race for him, race over.
So inside of 10 laps to go now, quickly approaching halfway, and pretty much runs that they have been all race long. Felipe Bear really the big mover in amongst your front runners, up 3 spots from where he started. But currently as they run is Johnny Gundi, Alvaro Sanchez, Felipe Bear, Greg Seitz. That's your 4-car breakaway you're seeing. Then you say Syandra and Tuan Tron. Those two currently lagging a little bit further back. And Alvin, what they're going to want to see is these guys start to race and get dicey a little bit. And that's exactly what happens into 10A. And you see they're thinking about almost 3 wide, I think, going through the final corner. Surely not, as the 8 of Sanchez might get shuffled back 2 spots here. And if you're Syandra, the Blackadder Motorsports machine, this is exactly what you want to see. They're going to go 3 wide down your front straightaway. Going to get clear, though, as they go themselves into 1. Going to be 2 by 2, but Syandra gets into an incident in turn 1. He's going to be facing the wrong way. Tried to put that car up the inside of the number 8 machine, and really the 7, I think, just locked up and didn't turn in there, Alvin. I think that's pretty much all on side.
A little bit of a lockout and a little bit of a landscaping excursion here for Alvaro Sanchez, but he was able to save the car. He keeps going. P number 5 right now, but Randy, he just lost a big chunk of time, and he lost touch of this leading battle here from P1 from P number 4. However, something from all this battling, it also allowed Johnny Guindy to kind of start a little bit of a breakaway here. So we may see here that if Felipe Lever, Greg Seitz, and Tuan Tron, they don't start working together, this race wing is going to Johnny Guindy.
And this is something we saw happen all of last season, Alvin, where this second group would start to fight somewhere around the midway point, and the lead group would start to fight, and that lead car would start to just stretch a gap over the rest of the field. That's exactly what's happened. The last time when they came across the stripe, gap was about 0.8 of a second. I think the gap's going to be a little bit larger than that, but right now, spots are already being exchanged in that second group. Greg Seitz looks to the outside of Felipe Bear on the run down the long back straightaway. He's going to pick up that second spot, pretty much as expected as they go breaking into the chicane. And these guys, smart enough, fast enough, they're going to get themselves single file quickly. Important to note, top 3 all teammates as well, so look for them to work somewhat together and not fight each other too hard until it gets down to the later stages. Tuan Tron, though, he is not a part of that group, so look for him to maybe be a little bit more aggressive than the 2 cars in front of him trying to pick up spots, as we're now over halfway in this first race of the season, 14-lap show at Road Atlanta.
And I think if you are Tuan Tron, you're gonna get here a little bit smart. Perhaps you're not gonna race that hard right now because there's only 7 laps to go right now, so you're just gonna try to ride behind Felipe Lever and Greg Seitz. Just keep it steady, lots of patience, but if you see that they are not catching, then that's where you start trying to make your moves. But I don't think we're gonna see any moves here until we get to 2 laps to go.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think right now you're going to see these 2 lead cars in the second pack, both Greg Seitz and Felipe Bear. They're likely to just be swapping spots back and forth, and from there I think it's pretty much going to be relatively calm. Tron might also look to make a move on Felipe Bear and get himself up one more spot, but I think beyond that, these guys are going to be relatively calm. So right now, Greg Sykes actually has a bit of a breakaway from Felipe Bear, so I don't think the spot for the second place right now is going to be under any threat. Right now, I think we need to keep an eye on Tron in that fourth spot. Does he have enough of a slipstream to get around the one of Felipe Bear on breaking down into the chicane? And here they come down this long back straightaway, down into the braking zone in the downhill section, and no, they're not going to pull alongside. All will remain single file into the chicane as they're trying to close that gap behind. But looking at the lap times last time through, Yanni Gundi did a 34.9 with a 35.6 from Greg Sykes, so a full 0.7 of a second is what Yanni Gundi is able to pull out, and pretty much everyone in that lead group within the 35s, with the exception of Tron, who did a 34.9 as well. He just goes through to the 34.5. Everyone in your second through fourth, all of them in the 34.5s. Yanni Gundi at 35.3.
And definitely starting to close little by little. And you know, when Johnny Gundi started doing this breakaway, the lead that he had was 1.6 seconds. As we go now through the S's, the advantage right now is only 0.8 seconds. So this group from Greg Sykes to Tron, racing really smart. They know that there is no point in racing each other right now. They know if they want to go for this race win, they gotta stay single file, be smart. If there's an overtake, just let the car go, and this is what they're doing right now.
So up towards corners number 6 and 7 as we have the 19 machine apparently got into an incident. This is Carl Dronke. This is coming out of the S, and that's a big incident for that 19 machine there. Alvin exiting the S's. Big move, big mistake, and well, that's race ending for him.
Absolutely, and you know, those S's are definitely one of the big parts here from Road Atlanta. You have to get them right, especially that exit going into turn number 5. If you're gonna use that exit curve, that massive exit curve, you can use it, but you have to be really careful because these cars, you can use the curves, yes, but you also have to be careful the way that you hop them, because if you hop them just a little bit too aggressive, not only you can do some slight damage to the wing, but also it can upset the car, and well, that's what we saw with Carl Dronke.
So the fight for your race lead, while that was happening, is pretty much heating up. It was 0.8 of a second, the gap around the stripe last time by. It's now under half a second. 3.5 of a second is what it was at the stripe. So now your top 4 is the fight for the race lead, and Yanni Gundi is not going to be able to just run cool, calm, collected laps here to the end inside of 5 laps to go, Alvin. 12 turns around this course here at Road Atlanta, 5 laps to go. That number 2 machine has to be perfect 60 times in a row, but I think even if he is, it's not going to be good enough to retain this lead. As look at the way he's so aggressive using the curb on the exit of the S's at turn 5 down the short run into corner number 6. Everyone's going to stay single file, but right now I think Greg Sykes, Felipe Bear, and Tron, they're going to be looking to make moves coming out of 7 and down this back straightaway towards 10A and 10B.
Definitely looking to get moves, and as we go here through the back straight, almost 5 laps to go here. I think this is where we're gonna start seeing some moves here. I think the time to start playing nice and going single file, that's over. Now it's time to go for the win, and now Greg Sykes go to the right from Johnny Gundi and tries to go for the lead here, and it looks like he is going to get it, but also Felipe Bear tries to get a look here, so we may see Johnny Gundi losing 2 spots going here into 10A. So let's see what happens here, breaking into very hard into 10A, but Johnny Gundi able to keep second place.
I think right there, Alvin, that taught us one important thing. If you're running third, you can potentially make moves for the race lead. I think Felipe Bear was a little more patient than he possibly could have been, and they come through off the final corner and down the front straightaway yet again. He looks to driver's right, kind of harassing the mirror of Johnny Gundi, but overall being relatively calm with it. Up into turn 1 they come again, but it's going to be interesting to see, as tight under a blanket as these top 4 are, I think any of them coming out of corner number 7 could potentially make the move for the race lead on the braking zone into 10A and 10B, as Tron very, very scary on the brakes behind Felipe Bear. Got a little bit loose at turn 3, and that's, if there's any point on this racetrack, Alvin, you don't want oversteer, it's definitely turn 3.
Absolutely, but pretty much I can tell you don't want oversteer anywhere on this track. Especially considering how close the walls are here. You don't want that happening, and also the high-speed nature of this track. The last thing you want is definitely oversteer. But now, going back to the front here, this battle here for the lead really starting to heating up. Now, I'm looking at 2 on Tron here, and Randy, I know that this may be kind of rare, but whoever is in 4th place, it may not look like they may have a chance at the race win, but if we go all the way back to last season, Road America, who was running in 4th place, it wasn't 2 on Tron for sure, but who was running in 4th place, was able to get the win, but you also have to be really patient. I think Tuan Tron is trying to play this patience game, but more battle here for the lead here. Let's see what happens at third place. And Felipe Alberto keeps third place for sure, but I think whoever Tuan Tron in fourth place right now, he still has a good chance of winning here. He's just trying to play a little bit of patience, but I think he's gonna coming now to the stripe here with 3 laps to go. I think he's gonna start making some moves because I think he wants this win.
Looking back at the second pack, things are heating up. This is Alvaro Sanchez, Diego Francisco, and Tierro Jesus Timiro. That was a 4-car pack, but Andrew Precario able to break away because those guys went 3 wide twice over that last lap. 3 laps to go, and you see Sanchez getting a big move coming from Jesus Timiro. Miro, a little bit of oversteer on the exit of 1, gets to save it twice, gets it back underneath them.
Oh, ready to tell you, big crash here in the front as Johnny Guindy is just spun. There was some contact here. Felipe Lever, I think he got some contact and spun into the SS and hard into the wall.
The 3 teammates running top 3, I think, all take themselves out here. Let's see what caused this. I think you're right. As Felipe Berry got into the back of Greg Seitz and Greg Seitz around, those 2 goes off on driver's right. And let's see what happened to Yanni Gundi. Did he actually get any? No, Yanni Gundi didn't actually take an impact, so he's still potentially out there and potentially quick, and he's not far off the back of Tuan Tron here, Alvin, as they're coming to about a lap or so left to go. That's huge drama for the teammates who were so dominant all last season.
Absolutely, and my apologies, it wasn't Johnny Guindy, it was Greg Seitz who was involved and who hit the wall really hard. But what I was saying, Tuan Tron playing the patience game right there in 4th place. He wasn't doing anything. He was minding his own business, and now Tuan Tron leading the race.
Good move from him as Alvaro Sanchez and Jesus Timiro, they continue their fight for what I believe will be 5th or 4th place on the racetrack right now. So patience pays off. They pick up a couple spots. They work themselves through 10A and 10B, coming to 2 laps to go. And the fight for your race lead has really calmed itself down. Well, I take that back. It's gone from 4 cars to 2. That 2-car fight is going to be very, very tense. We saw all last season Tuan Tron run strong, Alvin, but we didn't see him come away with a race win all season. He has a chance to do it here. He just needs to make sure Yanni Gundi gets by. He doesn't want to be leading this race with 1 lap to go.
Definitely, he doesn't want to be leading the race. That I think that is the last thing he wants. But I also noticed that if I zoom in a little bit closer to the rear wing of Tuan Tron, I think I spotted a little bit of damage, and it could be really interesting if that has any effect on coming here with 1 lap to go, if that affects anything of him. But also Johnny Guindy, some damage on the front wing, so really interesting now coming here into the backstretch how this damage it all plays.
About a lap and a third left to go in this one. Tuan Tron leads from Yanni Gundi, and you see Gundi not interested in the draft down this back straightaway at all. He's just sitting in the clean air. He wants Tuan Tron out in front of him once they get to the white flag lap. Now Tron moves over in front of Gundi as they come now into the braking zone of the chicane for the penultimate time. Quick left at 10A, quick left at 10B, and then they begin the run under the Suzuki Bridge here at Road Atlanta up the hill. And quickly underneath that bridge and coming right back down. This is where the Delta Wing crashed at the Petit Le Mans. I believe in practice just a couple years ago. Down through the final corner, and white flag is in the air. Lap number 14 of 14. Tuan Tron defends as they go running down into corner number 1. Quick right-hander now at turn 1, and they begin the run up into corner number 2. Now on the quick run into 3, this very, very tight right-hander that's blind that you have to hop the curb over. They both do it expertly as they work themselves now through the S's, down the left-hander, into this tight right-hander, and they stay pretty much single file. A little bit of overlap. You see Yanni Gundi has slightly different lines here through the S's and Tuan Tron. Now up through corner number 5 for the final time. You see the 2 machine of Gundi gets a good run, and that's exactly what he wants to see. He's not going to make the move into turn 6, but he wants the gap to be as small as he possibly can. You see he backs off just a little bit on the brakes. Tuan Tron makes a slight mistake at 6. Into 7, and this is a corner that counts. You need to get the best run you've had all race coming out of this corner. Now down the long back straightaway here at Road Atlanta. Yanni Gundi then the slipstream. When will he make the move? Will he make it early? Will he make it late? You see him closing. Tuan Tron defends to driver's left. You see Gundi dip out to the right-hand side. He's going to get clear of that 6 machine before they ever get to the braking zone. Tuan Tron slots back into the slipstream. Can he make a move on the brakes? No, he doesn't. No, he's not going to make a move. He slots himself a little bit to the left, but he didn't actually commit. Through the S's for the final time. Excuse me, through the chicane for the final time. Up the hill to the Suzuki Bridge yet again. And Yanni Gundi has himself a bit of a gap. Twantron's going to have to be perfect through the final corner, but no. Winner of round number 1 in season 3, going to be Yanni Gundi in the Skip Barber Racing School Championship at Road Atlanta. Margin of victory only 0.3 of a second, a little bit further down. Close fighting as well between Jesus Tamiro and Diego Francisco as they come now through the final corner, and Jesus Tamiro should just be able to hold on. That's going to be really tight as they come across the stripe. A little bit over 0.03 of a second. Gaps 5th and 6th. Alvin, what a run.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic race in here today. Definitely that battle for the lead here was really heating up, and I kind of said that where things are, we start getting close to the finish of the race, yeah, things start heating up, but the last thing you want, teammates hitting each other. And well, that's what we saw in here today. At the end of the day, Twantron tried to do the best he could, but Johnny Guindy win number 1 for the season 3 of the Skip Barber series.
With that, let's go down your post-race results after 14 laps of racing here at Road Atlanta. Yanni Gundi takes the win over Twantron. Felipe Bear will finish P3 with Andrew Picario and Jesus Martin Tumiro rounding out your top 5. In 6th, we have Diego Francisco, Carlos Arias Sainz, Alex Artisana, Daniel Barrison, and Daniel Frigorino rounds out your top 10. Kane Halliburton in 11th. Alvaro Sanchez 12th, Justin Tiston 13th, 14th is Greg Seitz, 15th is Dennis Johansson, 16th Francois Bollier, 17th Carl Dronke, and then into the cars they got into major issues over the course of this one. Cy Andra, Christian Capenga, and Gavin Martin all finish a number of laps down here today. That's going to do it for us tonight in the Skip Barber Racing School Championship, but don't go away. Round number 2, well, race number 2 of our Wednesday night racing. Well, that's going to be the Raven Graphics and eSpeed Contender Series. That's going to be live at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for 133 laps for the first round of the second phase of their chase. Just 4 races left in that championship. But from Randy Chineth, from Hugo Louis, and from Alvin Nieves, thanks for joining us. Hopefully you join us next week. Bye-bye.